Dana, thanks for your time today. Before we get into the discussion of DevOps, I would like to understand a little bit about your organization. Can you give us a little background on your organization?
Sure thing. Thanks, Raj. Okay. So I am the CTO for MUFG Union Bank. Probably a lot of you haven't heard of MUFG Union Bank, but you've probably heard about a company called Mitsubishi. We're a wholly owned subsidiary of that company. We have about 108 billion in assets, which places us around 12th in the United States. But our mother company, MUFG, is usually between 4th, 5th, or 6th in the world in total assets. They have great, big growth aspirations for us, and they see the United States as really how they're going to drive growth for the whole company. Now, my team is represented here, so hopefully you'll get to see some of them as you walk around. And you can ask them, yeah, there's all that stuff that Dana was talking about. Is it real? They'll tell you, yeah, it's real. We're doing great work. We've got about 700 employees on the team, and we back that up with about another 600 contractors throughout the world, whether it be India, Mexico, in the United States, wherever it happens to be. We're located, we're still pretty small. We're only located in about 16 different states, which include mostly, California, Texas, New York, a lot of the places you're familiar with. And we have 2 data centers tied with our company and 2 data centers that we just bought. So with a merger we've done. So we've got about 4 data centers, around 700 applications, and we're growing.
Thanks. We heard so much about application economy and how application economy is impacting businesses. Can you tell us some of the challenges you're faced with because of this phenomenon?
Sure thing. Thanks. Let's go to the next slide. So, let's see. The number one challenge we have is we want to be a top 10 bank in the United States. Now, most folks would say, well, just go get some more assets, go get some more deposits. That's not as easy as it sounds when you have systems that were deployed in 1969, when you've got systems that haven't been updated for 20 years. So in the last 2 years, just to give you a sense of kind of the biggest challenges we've had internally, we have replaced online banking, online bill payment. We replaced our mobile apps. We've put new apps out, like the UB app, for kids to teach them about banking. We've replaced the GL system. We've replaced the human resources system. We've deployed the loan origination and loan servicing applications for consumer lending, and the list goes on and on. A lot of companies will replace one of those a year. We decided it was a great idea to replace them all in 2 years. Now, that's because of a lot of different things. We've got a very challenging regulatory landscape. A lot of our funds are going towards dealing with all the rules that come out. If you're in banking, you know that it seems like every 2, 3, 4, 5 months, you've got another set of regulations that you've got to work with. So we've got to be nimble. We've got to do things properly. We've got to do them right the first time. High quality, high speed requirements. Now internally, in addition to all the change that we're going through, we've also got very big expense pressures. So not only do we have to grow, we have to change out all the systems. We've got to keep the employee base happy. We've also got to do it on a tight budget. Probably sounds pretty familiar to a lot of people. Now, when it looks just at the application economy, what I would say is everything we do is to be a top 10 bank. Internally, we've got to get better at testing, which I think we've done. We'll show you some metrics around that. We've got organizational integration across a lot of different areas. We've got, when I came in 2 years ago, we had a development team that didn't really talk to the operations team, right? We have the business unit that really talked only to themselves and sometimes to the dev team. And you guys probably feel a lot of that in your organizations. And I just have to emphasize again that all of this is undermined by moving faster and cutting time and cost.
So to address these challenges, you launched into a DevOps transformation initiative. Can you tell us how you went about doing it?
Sure thing. So our DevOps transformation started with a bunch of people in a room saying, hey, let's do some of this DevOps stuff. I said, okay. I thought I was pretty smart. We sat down, we figured some things out. we didn't quite make all the progress we wanted. So we went out and picked up a guy named Gene Kim. He wrote the book on this stuff. He came in, talked to us a little bit about the number one thing, and John Michelson mentioned it. It's shared goals, shared culture, working together as one team. And ever since we've done that, we've really started to make progress. So I would say everything starts with the people, and it's going to end with the people, and I'll get to that in just a second. In the meantime, what we did is we went out, bought private cloud, bought the converged infrastructure, because the first obstacle we had was, anytime you got one of these projects you've got to do, you go through and you do all this work, and then you've got to deploy it somewhere. And so that was the biggest challenge we had. So we went out and bought converged infrastructure, focused a lot on virtualization of servers and whatnot. How do you get the IP addresses assigned? How do you get these things up and running very quickly? And we've done a lot of great progress on that, and I'll talk to you about some numbers in a second. The second piece that we looked at was, how do you get that whole sequential and parallel development thing going? And what I would say is, we haven't quite gotten completely to parallel, but I think that the lines are moving together, and every time we use the tools and every time we get better, those lines move together to get parallel. Where we haven't done a lot of work yet is around governance. That's coming in the next piece. And really what we're doing is looking at how we get the requirements out to production one by one as quickly as possible. So we're looking at how we take these big releases that we normally do, and how do we make it into single individual releases. Along with that, at the tail end of all this, one of the tools that John mentioned and that we found a lot of value in is the whole service virtualization piece. So we found that it's really great for testing before you go into production. But one thing I found is it's almost impossible to test quality into code, right? You gotta build it into the code. So we've started using that on the desktops, and the developers like it. They're seeing the value. At first, they were a little bit hesitant because I'm a developer. I don't want to do the testing part. I just want to do the development part. So when we put the tools on their desktop, they really started using them and started saying, hey, this is really good. We can do a lot of great work with this. And then you start seeing some of the development testing goals coming together. At the very end of our whole DevOps transformation, a lot of folks don't mention this, but you can have internal goals for how often you move things into production, how good the quality is. But the ultimate test of quality for us is, what do the customers say about it?
Right.
So we added this customer feedback loop at the very end to take all that feedback and push it back in. And so that actually pushes into all of our weekly operations routines, my monthly business reviews, and on into the whole DevOps transformation we're working on.
So Dana, after this transformation initiative, what type of results did you see?
Oh, I'm very happy about those. These results are, when I first looked at them, I'm like, these couldn't possibly be true, so we went back and calculated them again and again and again until we got really solid numbers. The very first thing we see is about a 65 to 85% reduction in the cost of testing. Now, what I would advise folks is don't go telling all your partners about that, because what we did with it is we took that money and reinvested it back into more licenses and more people to do the work. And that has been really, really helpful. The second thing we have, and we're going to do a lot more work on this on through the end of the year, is we've shortened our downtime. So everybody knows when you do this development work, you do a lot of work, and then you consume all of the test data, and then you have to wait for the next round of test data coming, right? So what we've been able to do for the production testing and production testing and system integration testing, we've reduced that downtime, waiting between those, from 10 hours down to 1 hour. The next thing I'll talk about is overall application time, right? So think back to what we've had to do. We've got this goal of being top 10. We've got all these systems that we've replaced. A lot of those systems, if you look at a lot of places, take 3-4 years to put in. So it's really important to think that the service virtualization, the CEA test, these sorts of things, they pulled about 3.5 months off of our end-to-end time. So I look forward to talking with some of you about how we did that. And then the very last thing, if any of you have been developers, I started as developer. It's no fun waiting for your environments when you're ready to write code, right? There's nothing more satisfying than having your environment and going out and building it and seeing it work. We've taken that time down from 42 days down to about 3 days. So we've had just really good luck with all of this. And towards the end of the year, we've used the service virtualization, we've used the test tools. Now, towards the end of the year, we're going to have 30 of our sources using the new Data Finder tool. So we're going to have a lot of obfuscated production data that we're going to use, so I think our testing results will get even better.